Hey y'all, this is Shon Gerber. Thanks for listening today, but before we get started, I wanted to update you on the launch of my CISSP Cyber Training membership for my listening audience. On March 5th, 2023, I'm offering my monthly CISSP membership at a 60% off my already low price. That's an introductory rate of $19 a month for the first year. With that insanely inexpensive price, you will get all of my CISSP content, practice exam questions, all my current and upcoming curated content, and finally, you're going to get me. As I'm growing my products and services for this site, you will be on the ground floor to take advantage of an offer that will never, ever come again. So if you're planning on taking the exam in 2023, or if you want to learn more about cybersecurity, this will be the time to make a life and career-altering decision for you and your family. You can pre-register for my membership launch and get ahead of the line at CISSPcybertraining.com/pre60. That's PRE60. Again, that's CISSPcybertraining.com/pre60. All right, let's get started. Welcome to the Reduce Cyber Risk and CISSP Training Podcast, where we provide you the training and tools you need to pass the CISSP exam the first time. Hi, my name is Shon Gerber, and I'm your host for this action-packed, informative podcast. Join me each week as I provide the information you need to pass the CISSP exam and grow your cybersecurity knowledge. All right, let's get started. Giddy up. Okay, this is Shon Gerber with CISSPcybertraining.com, and we are going to be going over some practice CISSP exam questions. And so you can find more of these questions at CISSPcybertraining.com, and just head on over there. You'll be able to find a bunch of those. I'll also have some links in my show notes on where you can get some more questions. But one of the big factors around cybersecurity, taking the CISSP exam, is the questions that are associated with it. So the ultimate goal is we're going to provide you some information around how you can best study and take the test for the CISSP exam. So question number one, we're just going to kind of walk through some of these questions and then the follow-on answers to them. So if a security mechanism offers confidentiality, then it also offers a high level of assurance that authorized subjects can blank the data, objects, and resources. So when it comes around this, is we want to look at, can it manage the data? Does it mitigate the data? Does it provide secrecy to the data? Or is there due diligence around the data? So the focus thing you want to look at is as it relates to the confidentiality of that environment. The confidentiality of it, then it offers a high level of assurance. Assurance is another key term to think about, and that would help you understand that maybe those words you can start mitigating or throwing out some words that maybe don't make a sense to that. Confidentiality doesn't really typically deal with management. Now, it might deal with mitigation, but usually not. So if you're starting to deal with confidentiality, so it's in keeping something confidential to an organization or to a person, and then you have a high level of assurance, which basically is you're assuring that it's going to be protected, then you could throw out a couple of these questions, right? But if you go and you focus on secrecy or due diligence, either one of those could possibly be it. But as you think hard about it, secrecy of the data is an important aspect around any aspect of confidentiality, and that only authorized people have access to the data. So that's an important part of this. And so as you're dealing with secrecy, and authorization of it, confidentiality, assurance, and secrecy would be the key terms that I would focus on specifically. And hence, the answer to that question would be secrecy. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, practice question number 2. When is confidentiality compromised? When A, data is shipped in plain text or stored unprotected without various protections in place, access controls, encryption, etc. B, when data is shipped and the circuit is complete. C, when data is transmitted or stored in an unprotected container. And then D, data is unable to reach its destination due to the circuit being down. So if we focus on B and D real quick, you look at the circuit is complete or the circuit being down, that usually falls within the point of being availability from the CIA triad. So now you can throw out those two questions. The next question is data shipped in plain text or stored unprotected without various protections in place, access controls, encryption, etc., versus data transmitted or stored in an unprotected container? Well, you don't really have an idea of what the unprotected container is, but the one on top gives you much more detailed information around what is tied to the confidentiality of that device or of that piece of data. So therefore, it makes more sense to pick on number A because the information just seems more clear about what you're trying to actually protect via the data and or the various protections that are potentially in place. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 3. Practice CISSP exam question. Okay, this is question number 3 of your practice CISSP exam. When looking to maintain confidentiality of user credentials, the use of a spreadsheet for password storage is the best option. So A, true, or B, false. Now, if you're looking at a password management tool, you're going to say the best option. You want to look at here is what are they saying when they talk about the best option. The best option would be, is it an option? So storing your information in a spreadsheet for password storage, is that a potential option? Sure, it is an option. It really, truly is. And in some cases, it may be a decent option. It may not be the best option, but it would be a decent option. However, when they're looking for the CISSP test, they want to ask very specific questions, and they're going to ask them in a way that, in this case, it's very cut and dry. The best option. No, it is not the best option. The best option is to have some level of what we call a PAM, or a password access management tool. Now, unfortunately, you have products like LastPass, which were breached recently, and that can be very bad for you and your passwords. However, you do want to put them in some level of protection outside of a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is fine in some cases, but in most cases, it is not the best option. So hence, the answer for this one would be B, false. Thanks so much for joining me today on my podcast. If you like what you heard, please leave a review on iTunes, as I would greatly appreciate your feedback. Also, don't forget, on the 5th of March, head on over to CISSP and sign up for my once-in-a-lifetime sales event as we launch our new endeavor. Thanks again for listening. See ya.